All right. Welcome to lesson 2 of this Flask tutorial. And in this lesson, we are going to be looking at HTML escaping, routing, and variable rules in Flask framework. So what is HTML escaping? So HTML escaping is mostly used when you need to take a user provided element or user provided HTML data and display it. This is mostly helpful to prevent cyber attacks like SQL injection attacks. And for you to use HTML escaping, you need to import the escape function within the markup dependency. So let's see how to do that. So we need to do pip install markup, pip install markup safe. So since I already have that, it will definitely show me requirements already met. And then we need to import it. So say from markup safe import escape. Now let me show you how we would be using the escape function. So let's say we have, okay, let's modify this existing route. Let's say we want to the user to input their username, like let's say we have a route user slash username, and we want to take we want to take the username that will be imputed in the route and display it as a text, to combat any cyber attack. We can just do username here, and we can change this to an f string. We hello, this is, we use escape username. Now when the user accesses this route, user slash whatever their username is, it should display hello, this is the name of the user. So let's just test that out. Let's run our application, Flask run. No, let's do Python app.py. So it's showing not found because we don't have any defined route for that. So let's go to slash user slash Sophia. Okay, so we got this error because we were trying to, okay, we did not define this variable name. We did not define the parameter well. Here it is username, that's user, and then the / name. So if we remove this and we try again, it should say hello, this is Sophia. If we change this to Sam, hello, this is Sam. So now this is taking the HTML input, or is taking the inputs and ensuring that it is being passed as a text. It is not being passed as a HTML. This would definitely help you if you are ever in need of, for you to do this type of thing in Flask, where you have to take the user input and display it as a simple text in your application. So that's how you can do HTML escaping. Next up, let's talk about routing. So in lesson 1, we saw how to create a route, which is the standard app.route, and in the brackets, you define the paths. So this is actually the standard way for you to create the routes. But did you also know that you can create more than one route in your application? For example, we want another route that takes the user to a different page. So we can name this next page, and then we write a function, and the function would return this is the next page. So when you hit on next page route, it should take you there to the next page. Let's ensure that okay, our Flask application is running, and let's try that. So we can do slash next page. Yes. No, it should be next page together instead, and it takes us to next page. Now there's something tricky that I have that most newbies when playing around with Flask don't know. When you are defining your route and you decide to leave this forward slash here, uh yes, and yes, you decide to leave that forward slash and you run your application, see it says that URL rule states that the string must start with a forward slash. That is something that it must always start with. When you are defining your path, ensure that it starts with a forward slash. Similarly to in Django, when you are defining a post route, a post, yes, a post route, you will need to add the slash at the end of your paths. So this is a simple rule that you need to know about. Another thing when it comes to URL routing that I noticed about Flask is what we call a dynamic routing, or I think URL redirections or thereabouts. So now if you have a URL route path that ends with a forward slash, and you are in a okay and you are testing out your endpoints, and you decide to not add the slash at the end of the route, when you hit the paths, or when you hit the route without the slash, that's the slash at the end, it automatically redirects you back to this to the route that has the slash. Let me show you that real quick. So let's say okay, let me just show you that this is what it will show you, because this is what we define as the routes. So when we decide to not add this and we hit it, it redirects us back to the part that has the forward slash. But if you think that it also works in reverse, like you don't have the forward slash and you decide to add the forward slash, it would not redirect you back to it. Let me just show you. Now this is a wrong path, this is not defined. So when you click it, it's going to tell you not found. But when you use the correct parts, yeah, let's change the name first. New page. Okay, and then you see that I have no idea why I kept on trying to remove the last slash and it didn't, and it kept redirecting back to the forward slash. But you get the idea that in URL routing, if your path has a slash at the end, and when you are trying to access it, when you're trying to make a request to the route and you forget to add the slash at the end, it automatically redirect back to the correct path. But if your path defined in your code does not have the route, I'm sorry, the slash at the end, and you decide to make a request to the parts that has a slash at the end, it will definitely throw an error because that is not found in your code base. So that's something that I really noticed when it comes to URL routing or URL dynamic redirection in Flask. Okay, last but not the least, let's talk about variable rules. when dealing with URLs. Now, in the example that we okay, in this route that we played around with the username, we saw that you can easily add a string at the end of your route and it would be displayed in your project. But do you also know that you can do the same thing when it comes to IDE or float or any other data types in Python? Let me show you that. So if you are trying to modify this code to accept IDEs instead, all you just have to do is do integer ID, then here you change here to ID and you change here to ID. So let's run our server again. So when we access this and we pass an ID, it takes the ID and passes it as a plain text using the HTML escaping. Let me just show you that. So let's say you want to do user/2, and you see it shows user/2. You can play around user/1 10,000 or 100,000, and it takes that and display it as a plain text. So you can this is how you can pass two different types of variable in your Flask application. And you can also do this for other data types like floats. Okay, so this is a float. Let's see how we can do that using decimals. So decimals will be 1.5, and that is not correct, because and that would not work because we defined here as an integer and not a decimal. Okay, so if you want to pass a float as okay, sorry, I said that that was a float when that was an integer. A float is like the decimal values. So if you want to pass a float, instead of using the integer, we can change this integer to floats. This float is a data type, and when we run this again, it should show hello, this is 1.5. Now if we pass 3,000, just an integer, let's see if it would display the value. And it did not. Why? Because we said that we are taking a float and not an integer. All right, so this is everything that you need to know about HTML escaping, URL routing, and variable rules when it comes to URL paths in Flask. Thank you for sticking around. I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.